Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, September the 19th, 2021. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. We made it through another week. This will be my weekly update that I will be putting on YouTube. We're going to go over methane, sea ice. I'm going to cover the earthquakes and the volcano going off at Palma in the Canary Islands. We're going to look at what happened this week with the Snow and Ice Data Center report on the sea ice and climate-related items. So, first of all, I want to start off with the La Palma situation, and y'all have heard of this. This is an island in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Alaska. If we look at the earthquake map, we can see where it's located. Here's the northwest corner of Africa. Here's Morocco. Here's Sahara, Western Sahara. These little islands are the Canary Islands, and it's this little triangle shape, upside down triangle that's off by itself is the one in question. And there's here it is, and it goes up really high, like 6,000 feet, and it's mainly rocky. This is one of the volcanoes. Here's another kind of crater, but it started erupting this morning, and it's been swarming with earthquakes all week. And the big deal is there's a big chunk that has loosened up, and if it falls into the ocean, depending on how fast it goes and how much of it falls off, it could create a tsunami that would travel all the way across the Atlantic Ocean and affect the whole eastern seaboard of North America up to Canada, possibly up to Greenland and Iceland, just depending. It would also could affect all of these islands in the Caribbean, the east coast of South America. It could also cause problems up on the east coast of the Atlantic on this side, and the Mediterranean could get backed up. I mean, it's a whole thing. So be ready to head for high ground is my recommendation. If you're so inclined, get your go bag ready and be ready to head for high ground. If this falls, it would be about 7 or 8 hours before it hits the east coast of the U.S. But it's everybody's own decision. Now, I've been tracking it here on Volcano Discovery. This is their update page for news and activity on this La Palma volcano. Here's the latest. Gotta click off the ads there. And here's a picture of the lava coming down. And this was updated tonight at 7:50. 7:50. That's UTC time. La Palma volcano eruption update. Lava flows cut road, threaten inhabited areas, evacuations ordered. The airport's been shut down, one of them. So it says more and more details are emerging from multiple media covering the eruption in great detail. At 4:30 p.m., a second fissure opened about 100 meters above the first one that opened at 3:15 p.m. The Civil Guard has announced that 5,000 to 10,000 people will be evacuated from the municipalities of El Paso, Los Llanos de Andane, Fuencaliente, and Tazacorte, as the lava flows had begun to descend down the slope. The neighborhood of El Paraíso has already been evacuated. Current projections of the lava flows predict that they are likely to run through an area near the settlement of Montafia Rajada following a ravine. This worries us now, said the mayor of El Paso, Sergio Rodriguez, when interviewed shortly after the onset of the eruption. The main concerns are that lava might reach inhabited areas such as La Laguna in Los Llanos de Andane. The problem is further down in the Los Campitos area. The lava is advancing slowly. People can be evacuated with relative ease, he said. Here's a video. Let's see if we can see anything. So that's the, I guess that's the fissure. But you can see the smoke coming up. And lava cuts roads, airport closed. The lava flows already crossed the Tecande Highway at around 5:30 p.m., making the passage of vehicles impractical. La Palma Airport has also been closed during the first hours after the eruption, as ash plumes hindered visibility, but later resumed its operations as the ash emissions decreased again. The alert status of the volcano was raised orange, 3 out of 4, and the General Directorate of Security and Emergencies of the Government of the Canary Islands activated the Level 2 emergency situation red traffic light in application of the Volcanic Risk Plan. POVOLCA, whatever that means. So then they've got all their previous posts. Here's another picture of the lava. Look, it's going straight up into the air there. And so this is where I've been tracking it, along with a couple of other places. I've also been watching on the EMSC website, which is the European Meteorological Society. And it's on this little island here. And the earthquakes, the largest they've had is a 3.8. And now I think USGS is definitely remiss in not reporting on this. Traditionally, they only report international quakes if they're like in the 4s range and higher, maybe 4.5. Occasionally, they'll post like a 2 or a 3. Like I've seen those like in Spain and Albania, but generally has to be like a 4. Like that's a 4.3 Iran. Here's a 4.8 in the South Sandwich Islands. So that's why we're not seeing this, but there have been, according to EMSC, see, here's the list for the last 24 hours for the Canary Islands with the magnitude, and these, the lowest magnitude that's on their map is 2.0, so the smaller ones and the tremors are not even on this map. But here in the last 24 hours they're showing 139 of 2s to 3s, and they've been different depths from 10 kilometers up. Here's one at 1 depth, 2, 8, 7. Here's one at 0 depth. Here's one at 1 depth, and so on. So let's look at the last week. We can see $853 in the last week, right there. So that's of the 2s and higher. So it's been a lot more than that if you count the 1s and the tremors. So it's a big deal. This could go, and we need to pray for everybody there that they can evacuate safely, and but these earth changes were predicted, were prophesied in the Bible, and in fact Jesus himself said that in the end times there would be massive earthquakes in diverse places, and all kinds of things. And we're going to be seeing more and more of this as things progress, and as everything becomes more destabilized, and land masses will be shifting and changing, and this is the end time. I mean, this is what we're living in. So I recommend that you get your spiritual house in order, and be ready for whatever happens. And if you can survive physically, that's fine, but it's more important that you get you're ready to go, because it's, I think God has his hand on everything, and we're witnessing it. So now we're going to go over methane, and I've been, I track the NOAA data every day, and I'm kind of put out with them. I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking I'm going to email them. This week there's been almost no data this week, and last week at my report we didn't have decent data. So I'll just show you, for example, like here's for yesterday. They report the day after. So this is for Saturday, and yeah, that's Saturday the 18th. For all of those, they have like 100 different millibar readings you can check on. I look at the 477/469 millibar. Here it is in the afternoon. But look at the METOP2 satellite. No data. That was in the morning. Then in the afternoon, again, no data. So this satellite has been down for I'll show you what I did on my report. this incomplete data. This METOP2 has been down since the 7th, and we had one day this week where we had all four, METOP 1 and METOP 2 morning and afternoon readings, but there was a lot of missing data, a lot of white spots in 3 of the readings. So I put questionable data. So, but we did have one day, and that averaged out to be 1922 parts per billion. And the last day that we had before all of this started, where we were having the 4 readings, was for September the 6th, and that averaged out to 1922 as well. And so that was just 2 days after my weekly report for the 4th. So what I did, instead of just not having anything over here, so here was the report from the 4th. So then I put the data for the 6th and the data for the 15th, since we had that, and since that's all we've had in the last 2 weeks, and it's 1922. So that showed an increase in a couple of days there from the 4th to the 6th of 2.75 parts per billion, and then we ended up having the same reading on the 15th. So with that data, it shows our line going back up above the 1920, and this is I think that's the highest reading we've had so far. Let me see. 1922. Yeah, that's our highest reading so far this year, and in our recorded history, because anytime we break a record over here, we get higher, then we're in no man's land. So that's where we were at a couple of days or a few days ago, 1922. That was reported from NOAA, so it's still going up, and so that's 20 parts per billion higher than a year ago, and 64.75 parts per billion higher than where we started way down here at March the 1st of 2019. So we'll see what happens with NOAA. I don't know what's going on, if their satellites are offline or they just don't have the personnel to process it, or what's going on. So I think I might email them. But CAMS has been up and everything's been showing on CAMS. So let's hop over. I have the 18th, Saturday the 18th ready. Arctic view and surface level pulled up. This is out of the EU, the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service. Here's our color ledger. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period runs Sunday through Wednesday. So we're seeing this Scandinavian area over into Russia, just super high readings, and I don't know why this is. I think there is some wetlands up here. So if anybody knows why the methane is so high here, you could leave it in the comments section. Or if you have an idea, I don't know. We're also see these higher background readings all the way across Russia. We still are billowing here around Komsomolets, and it's popping up in the North Kara Sea too. And look at the green overtaking most of the Arctic. So this is a sign of higher methane when you start seeing the green going all the way across the Arctic. That's higher methane coming up. It's coming up through the ice. What's there? Coming up through the water. Here's Alaska. That's gone down a little bit. That had been just totally filled up. And see these waves moving. See the green wave moving off of North America. Now we'll go to the North Pole view. Oops. Here we can see the whole northern hemisphere. So Europe, you're filling up. Look, it's just a blob up into the UK and Ireland. Here's the Persian Gulf. That's actually looking a tiny bit better. Here's India. See, it's got the higher readings down to the tippy point. China. Look at this wave moving out, that dark wave moving out, releasing from China. Now watch, this is in the forecast period. Here it comes. See where it spills out in across the ocean, that really high reading. That's a sign of higher methane. Then over here, see this eastern seaboard, it's pretty high most of the time. Florida, you're covered up. There are certain areas where it just pops up all the time. West Texas, California, certain areas. And here in Canada, just south of the Hudson Bay, look, watch right here. This spot. See, so I don't know all of the environments everywhere that would make the methane go up like that, but I mean there are lots of different reasons. Now we'll pop down to the Antarctic. We've been watching this. And the ozone hole is huge. It's expanding way out past the continent. And the sun is coming up down there gradually. But a lot of it is still in the dark. So here's the north, south, east, and west. This is the Western Peninsula. Here's the tip of South America where it comes down. Here is the Weddell Sea. There's an ice shelf here. We're seeing it pop up along this Larsen, the Larsen ice shelves, Larsen B, Larsen C. And then in the forecast period, watch right along here. Watch. See, it's popping up. This is along the Brunt ice shelf. We also have an area popping off on the northern coast and the Amory ice sheet over here on the east. See, right there. It's also coming up on this western side of the west peninsula of the peninsula. So, and this background color is 1820 parts per billion. That's how we're able to really see the outline of the Antarctic. When it gets lower, like this navy color, which is 1800, you can't see the outline, the black against it. So in the summertime, well, summertime for the northern hemisphere is when, you know, that's you know, as the methane goes up, then worldwide, then, you know, it's reflected in all the different colors worldwide, so it affects the southern hemisphere like that. Kind of a long explanation. Alright, now we'll go to the global view. And we're seeing more of the navy come back, this navy color, a tiny bit more. So that's a sign that methane might be going down just a tiny bit. I sure hope that NOAA gets their system figured out. You know, I can't believe it was just calibration taking 2 weeks. Something had to happen. It's either something wrong with the satellites or the personnel. You know, it could be that they just don't have the personnel to cover everything. And yesterday the Navy website was down. It was up today, but they were only updated to yesterday, not today. So there's something going on. We'll look at 500 HPA. So, see all these reds? That's the higher readings there. All the way across North America. Here's the highest over China and going over to Japan. And see the red is, see how far south it is. See, it's over Africa here. And now total column. So look at, see the white spot? That's China. So even on total column, they're above what'll register. Let me refresh. I'll refresh so we can get the correct color ledger. So they're above 2,320 parts per billion total column right there. That's about in the Beijing area. See that? So that's worse. We haven't seen the white spot on total column. We've seen it on the surface level, but not total column. Then we've got the red coming across to Africa. Now this actually looks toned down from what we've seen it in the past. So it could be that it's gone down a tiny bit. Have we peaked out? I don't know. We'll just have to keep tracking it. Now I want to zoom in on this white spot. We'll look at the East Asia. Look, it's not there now. This is the latitude or longitude, latitude, these lines. So, anyway, we'll leave that now. Now next, I'll finish up. Oh, well, here was the NOAA data for today for the MET-OP1 satellite. For yesterday, the 18th. MET-OP1 in the morning, the mean average was 1932 parts per billion. The high reading was 2455. You see the pinks, that correlates to the reds that we saw at 500 HPA on CAMS. And that's between, here's our color ledger, 2000 and the high reading here is 2455. And that high reading changes on each one. And then in the afternoon it was 1931 on the mean. The high reading was 2633. Now that's a little bit of a spike. We normally don't see that high reading that high. See the pinks down here around the Antarctic, and that's in the areas where we saw it coming up on CAMS. Here's sulfur dioxide today. It doesn't look remarkable. Here it is at 500 HPA. We have it coming up, and it's coming up through the layers, but it's not blasting with huge readings. Now we'll see tomorrow if the La Palma volcano registers. It'll show up right off the coast of Africa there. Usually on CAMS we'll see this from a volcano. It'll be the day after that it shows up. Now here's the ozone hole over the Antarctic today, and where it's in this big thick black line, that's in the danger zone. That's below from 220 Dobson units and down. So this purplish blue is 200 to 220. This next blue is 175 to 200. This navy blue is 150 to 175, and this darker blue is 125 to 150. So the next color down is black, and that's 100 Dobson units. So it's over the whole thing, and see how far out it's spread now. Here's the Arctic ozone. It's thinning more every time I see this. See, it's down to the aqua here over the North Pole, and then the blue-green spreading out, and then the green. Anything that's below the solid yellow, that's thin. Even this like yellow green, see, that's below 300 Dobson units. So the majority of the planet is below average, the majority. And here's the global view. And we don't have enough of the reds and the yellows to balance out from the green down. See? So it's not looking good. Look how it's covering. See, almost all of the U.S. is covering all of the mid-latitude. And it's even thinner. See, down here across Indonesia. So, and this can be from the smoke and also volcano eruptions, that takes out the ozone layer or makes it thinner. Wildfire smoke eats it up. Sulfur dioxide eats up the ozone, so, or makes it to where the earth can't create its ozone. Here are the fires today. Here's the North Pole view. Got it up here in northern U.S. So it's calmed way down, see? All around. Here's the global view. Here's Africa, and here's South America. That's all of those. Now, we're going to get on to the sea ice report. I'm going to start out with their analysis. National Snow and Ice Data Center, Arctic Sea Ice News and Analysis. They posted this on September the 16th. Now, usually the minimum extent in the Arctic is reached around the middle of September. When they posted this, the ice was still melting. And it is still melting in certain places, but it's kind of growing back in other places. Or it could be spreading out from it spreading apart, so it's just hard to tell. And I posted this article in my community section, and some people saw it and made some comments, and I agree with the comments that were made. So it's titled An Odd Summer's End. The Arctic sea ice minimum extent is imminent. After a cool and stormy summer, this year's minimum extent will be one of the highest of the past decade, despite the amount of multi-year ice standing at a near record low. A large area of low ice concentration persists in the Beaufort and Chukchi seas, and some of this may still be compacted by winds or melt away because of the remaining heat in the upper ocean. So that's this area here on this left side. As of September 15th, Arctic sea ice extent stood at 4.73 million square kilometers, or 1.83 million square miles, placing it 10th lowest in the satellite record for that date. While extent continues to decline as of this post, the seasonal minimum is likely to occur soon, depending on how much heat remains in the upper ocean and on winds, which can compact the ice cover or spread it out. If the winds push the ice poleward, this may further reduce the total extent. Nevertheless, the seasonal minimum extent promises to be one of the highest of the past decade. Only 2013, 2014, and 2018 are currently tracking above the 2021 sea ice extent. It has been an odd summer. While fairly cool and stormy summer conditions limited summer melt, as discussed in our earlier post, the amount of multi-year ice is at a record low, roughly 1/4 of the amount seen in the early 1980s. Ice loss the first 2 weeks of September primarily occurred in the Beaufort and Chukchi Seas, and to a lesser extent also surrounding Severnaya Zemlya. As seen in advanced microwave scanning radiometer 2 or AMSR 2 imagery, areas of low concentration ice persist in the Beaufort and Chukchi Seas. How much of this ice melts away largely depends on ocean heat. Satellite imaging of sea surface temperatures shows much of the open ocean surrounding the low ice concentration area is already near the freezing point. By contrast, the compact, well-defined ice edge along most of the Russian side of the Arctic Ocean indicates that freezing is already underway in the area. So they're talking about the collapse of the ice in the Beaufort and Chukchi Seas the last couple of weeks, and the ice that had been around Severnaya Zemlya, and that some of this ice edge is already refreezing, is what they're talking about. Air temperatures at the 925 HPA level, or about 2,500 feet above the surface, as assessed over the first 13 days of September, were near average over most of the Arctic Ocean. Temperatures from 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, or 4 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit, above average were the rule along the coasts of the Kara and Laptev Seas. In sharp contrast to the persistent pattern of low pressure over the Arctic Ocean characterizing this summer, the first 13 days of September saw high average air pressure. And average sea level pressure, and then they talk about the Northwest Passage, I'm not going to go over that. You can read it on your own if you want. Then Antarctic oddities, and just wait until you see the chart on this, though. Antarctic sea ice extent is approaching its seasonal maximum, which typically occurs in late September. A surge in sea ice growth is outward transport in late August in the northeastern Weddell Sea and the area north of Droning Maudland brought sea ice extent to the 5th highest level for the last day of the month. Since then, losses in the areas around the tip of the Antarctic Peninsula and the northeastern Ross Sea have reduced the total ice extent, although at this time of year, ice extent can change rapidly up or down as storms play havoc with thin, low-concentration ice in the extended ice edge regions. As of this post, Antarctic ice extent remains well above the long-term average. So that's what they say on the 15th of September. So let's move on. Let's go next. So here's our slideshow now with sea ice and snow cover. This is from Climate Reanalyzer. This is as of today. So the extent is not the same as concentration. Extent just means wherever there's a little wisp of ice or crumb or skim or little greasy thing. Anything that's halfway frozen, they call extent. And it doesn't mean it's good ice. It doesn't mean that it's good concentration. It doesn't mean it's thick at all. But that's what they call extent. So I think it's deceptive to think that, it's one of the highest extents, for the last decade. And people should not get excited over that, considering the condition of the ice. Here's the hole in the Beaufort Sea where it's collapsed, and the Chukchi Sea. Now this hole above Greenland has been filling in. I think the ice drift has pushed the ice back up along the coastline. This eastern edge is still melting, and this ice, the thicker ice around Severnae Zemlya, has slid down. I don't know why I didn't zoom in before, and has separated. And this is just thin ice on this right hand side. And this Laptev Sea is still open. Here's this East Siberia Sea. We've just got a little bit of wispy ice here, and then here in the archipelago, in these tributaries, there's a little bit of ice there. I've seen this is starting to refreeze a tiny bit. So that's where we're at today. So let's see what's happened this week. Here we were last Sunday for my report on the 12th, so we'll just click through. So here was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So not much difference. It's as far as the extent, it's been about the same. There's just been openings and closings here in the Beaufort Sea. So there's that. Now we'll go through the Navy data. This is from the U.S. Navy website. This is sea ice thickness in the Arctic as of yesterday. And this, I've decided that anything purple is, if we disregard all the purple and just look at the blue and the aqua and the higher, then that's more realistic of good sea ice. And if we did that, then we would have had blue ocean events for the last few years if we disregarded the lavender and the purple, because this lavender and purple just keeps hanging out. And I think this summer there was a lot of colder than normal air over the Arctic, and they could have manipulated it to be that way, to kind of keep this little flimsy ice in place, which is probably keeping us from having extreme overheating of the planet. But we're already seeing effects of blue ocean events. I mean, the climate's already changing and become so destabilized that we don't have to have a blue ocean event in order to see our demise, definitely. So we'll go over this by quadrants. I've named these quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4, just to refer to them. So here in quadrant 1, we've got mainly lavender and purple, and see the white, that's where it's just a little wisp trying to come back. And now here, here's Severnae Zemlya. Here's the aqua piece that broke off. It had been up here by the by the island, and then it's free floating. It's by itself out here with just a little thin ice around it. So this could melt before the end of the season. I don't know, but that's broken away. And then in quadrant 2, all we've got is very light lavender and purple. And then here in quadrant 3, above Greenland, see the hole is kind of filling in. We're getting a little bit more aqua coming up. So this is thickening here, and the Lincoln Sea is still kind of in the purple range, so that's still thin. We've got almost no ice here in the nearest strait, but it looks like it's trying to come back. Here's Ellesmere Island. It's thin around the coastline there, and this is what we've got. It's a pathetic example of, what we've got for the thickest sea ice. It's just pathetic to see this and to think that that's all we've got. And the blue is about 1.25 meters thick. The bright aqua is about 2 meters thick. And so this is in between. We've got a little bit of yellow right here around the coastline. And that's what we've got for any sort of, see the aquas, any sort of ice that can do anything. And where you see the whitish areas, there's a lot of open water. And I mean, there's just open sea, lots and lots of there's a hole over here, but it's not showing up as a hole. It's showing up as light lavender. So I've been rethinking how these models, what it looks like from the Navy model to when we look at like worldview. I'm rethinking it. So this is practically nothing, where you see the lavender and even the purple. So here we are with the 30-day animation. It goes back 3 weeks with the data, and the forecast goes out to next Saturday. So let's see what it's showing. Well, it looks to me like this Beaufort Sea is still melting, and see it's spreading out, and this is still in melt mode. That's not refreezing. Let's watch. This is not refreezing in the Chukchi either. It looks like this is still melting. And this edge up on the top part, it's just shifting, kind of smoothing out. It could be just some little bit of refreeze going on around those edges. And then watch this aqua piece. It's still there, a little tiny bit. And we'll look at this eastern side. It smooths out, and then it kind of comes out a little bit, right at the very end. And you see the movement, it's sliding down towards the coast of Greenland there. Let's look at this area. I don't see any thickening happening yet. So it's just kind of holding. So we're still seeing melt here in the Beaufort and Chukchi seas. So look at these tributaries. So we're getting a little bit of refreeze here. So that's what we've got there. Here's the Beaufort sea ice thickness, and all of this is gone, just with just pieces here and there, but this is a big hole. Here's Alaska down here, here's Canada. Here's the 30-day animation. Again, the data goes back 3 weeks and the forecast goes out to next Saturday. So it's still melting. So there's that. Here's the Antarctic. This is sea ice thickness for today. And the aqua, it's been thickening. That's, you can see more aqua coming in. Now, here you see the land mass is in the middle, whereas in the Arctic the water is in the middle. So here the ice is around the continent. Most of this melts in their summertime, and then in their wintertime it refreezes. So it doesn't ever get super thick, but we are seeing quite a bit of aquas coming back. Now here's the 30-day animation. But we're seeing a lot of thin or no ice around the coastline, and I had been mentioning that. I pointed that out a few weeks ago, and we're still having that here. Here's Pine Island and the Thwaites Glacier. So this area is in big trouble. Everybody's watching this area with anticipation. So there's that. Now, I went ahead and downloaded these pictures. This was as of yesterday from National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is sea ice concentration, and see, it shows the hole here, and just thin wispy ice. See, you see all the blue. This is not good ice. Wherever you see the blue, it's really coming apart. But they like the extent. That's all they count. Now here's the chart as of yesterday for the sea ice extent. The blue line is this year. The dotted line was 2012. This gray line is average. And so we had been seeing it still going down, down, down. And then it kind of leveled off a couple of days ago. And it looks like just a tiny bit of a curve upward. But it could still go down. We just don't know if it's reached minimum yet or not. But that's where we're at. It's flattening out. Here's the Antarctic sea ice concentration. See all the blues there. And the gold line, that's the median. Now here's the chart for sea ice extent, and the blue line is this year, this gray-green line is last year, and this light gray line is the average. Now it had started out refreezing early in the season, and so it was ahead of the game for a long time, and then it was then it kind of got back in line with last year and average, and then it went back up, and look what's happened in the last few days. It's taken a nosedive, and here we are as of the 18th. It's way below last year. Last year it was still going up, and it's below the average too. So that's what's happened. It took a nosedive after they wrote the article. There it is. So it could have maxed out over here. So we'll see. Here's Greenland, and I've been looking at this every day. I haven't seen any melt up here until this picture, which is from yesterday, which I was shocked because, you know, we talked about Hurricane Larry coming up and rain and snow along the coast, and snow inward and all this stuff, or inland, and I was expecting to see a lot of melt, but they didn't report any melt until today. They're showing it for yesterday, a little bit up here on this northeast edge. So I don't know if it really melted or if the reporting was off, or if it didn't melt. But I'm just saying they didn't show any melt until the 18th, which I think is unusual for what we saw last week. Here is the cumulative melt for this year. So these white areas are the only areas that haven't melted, at least some this year. Here is their chart for melt extent, and it goes from April to October, and then they don't measure it during the winter because usually it doesn't melt. So it's been at the bottom. It's it's still kind of at the bottom there. So we had 2 big spikes this year. And, well, 3 big spikes. It's where we set records, melt records. That's all of that. Now, I'm going to close that one out. Now we'll go on to NASA Worldview. Now look at this. Now last week, the hole was such a weird shape. They keep changing it. Here's what it looked like yesterday. Here it is today. So I don't know. Let's refresh. I don't know what's going on. Now it's a different shape. So let's see what we can see here. So we're going to start with sea ice concentration. Oh, I'll turn the clouds off. Here's the hole, and really see all these different colors. I'm just saying there's not much ice there. It's mainly open water. So this whole west side is still kind of melting, and see the melt going inward too. There are a couple of holes above Greenland still here. So let's go back to last week to our show, see where we were. Now, see, the hole was bigger last week. So let's just click through. So it's still in melt mode, I think, a lot of it. But they're saying like this edge is refreezing. That's what they're saying. Look at this line. So now the white is 100% concentration. We don't have very much white. It's pink and red and down from that. So let's turn that layer off, and we'll just see what we can see on the satellite. Let's start in the Beaufort Sea. We've got some clouds. Oh, I forgot to go over Climate Reanalyzer. We have to do that. Then that'll give us a context for worldview. So here's the maximum temperatures for today. See, it's really cold over the interior of Greenland. A little bit of colder air over the basin, Arctic basin there. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly. See, we have warmer air over the water, but look how much colder Greenland is. And because of that, and because of all this blue in Russia and Canada, they're saying the Arctic is only up 0.1 C higher than normal. So normally we see it warmer than that. So it just, you know, you never know from day to day what it's going to be. Now here it is for the globe, or the flat view. Worldwide, we're up 0.3 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere is up 0.6 C. The tropics are up 0.3 C. Southern Hemisphere is in balance, and the Antarctic is 1.1 C lower than normal. So we're cooler. Right now we're a little cooler than we have been, but that can change. Here's precipitation and clouds. Look, it's raining on this east side of the ice. Here's Svalbard, here's Franz Josef Land, and we've got rain right there. And we've got rain on this east side of Greenland and on the southern tippy point. And then we've got snow across in the interior. Then let's look at sea level pressure. So we've got these systems set up, We've got 3 there. Here's 1, see, in the Beaufort Sea. That's only, what is that? Looks like 992 millibars. Here's the jet stream. See how wobbly it is. Wavy. That's what happens as the climate is collapsing. The jet stream becomes all wavy and the cold air doesn't stay in. We saw sea ice and snow cover. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly as of yesterday. So around most of this ice, or a lot of it, we have warmer than normal temperatures on the sea surface. So I don't see how they're saying that's going to be refreezing with sea surface temperatures like that. We got some blue over here on this northwest side, and a little bit of blue on the right side, but you know, these are higher than normal. So worldwide, we're still 0.5 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere is up 0.8 C. The North Atlantic is 1 C higher than normal. It's been right around that for a while now, and higher. Equatorial Pacific is up 0.1 C. Southern Hemisphere is up 0.2 C. And the North Pacific is up 0.7 C. So the sea surface temperatures are still way high. Now we'll go back. So here we are in the Beaufort Sea. See the open water. This is Alaska and Canada over here. Here's the Canadian archipelago down here. And here's the system, one of the systems that we saw. It's over this ice, so it'll probably be tearing up the ice. Any wind can tear it up. And if we can find areas through the clouds where we can peek through and get a sense of the ice and see all that open water. There's the bright white, that's the ice. So that's what they're calling extent. Look over here. See? Here we go. See all the open water. This is like the light purple color on the navy model. Let's see. Here's Wrangell Island. These are clouds. Here's the ice edge. Let's see. Well, we're looking through clouds, but that's where's the ice edge? It's right here. See? Let's see. Here we go. See, here's open water. Wherever you have open water like that, you've got latent heat. And so it'll be hard for that to refreeze. Let's see. Here's the ice edge. See? And then here's clouds. Here's Greenland. here's the northern. See where this is filling back in. Now here's the Lincoln Sea. Look at that. Here's the nearest strait. Now this is a good view. See the ice here? Now we're into a cloud. Here's Svalbard. Here's Franz Josef Land. Here's Severnaya Zemlya. And the aqua ice is right here. Right in here where it's broken out. Not much. It's just not much. Here's the Vovolov ice cap. And here's the Laptev Sea. So that's open. And then this is Russia up here. So that's what we've got. Let's see if we go back yesterday if we can see anything else. Look, oh yeah, let me see. Oh, I've got a cloud there. Now this was kind of an interesting shot. This is from the 15th. Look at all the bare rock on these islands. These are ice caps and they're melting and shrinking. This is the Vovolov ice cap that's pouring into the ocean. You can see it here. And this is the ice coming off of the ice cap. See? Look at how these are shrinking. It's almost nothing. Here's a bigger one. But that's stark to see that. Here's the 16th. Let's see if we can see anything. See, open water. Look at all of that. See the white pieces, white things are ice. So there's just a smattering of ice. It's not that much. So that's a weird shape for today. So that's what we've got for right now. Now let's move on to earthquakes. We covered La Palma, but let's look worldwide here. Uh-oh. I don't have my earthquakes up. Hold on. I'll go get them. Okay, got the earthquakes up. I took these pictures this afternoon. There were 211 worldwide, so the number of earthquakes, according to USGS, has gone way down, but they're not counting anything at La Palma. If they were counting those, we'd see a lot more than that. Here in the lower 48, there were 113. Southern California is showing 24. Searles Valley Ridgecrest is showing 19. Western Nevada over to Mammoth Lakes and up to Colville is showing 21, so that number's gone down. Here looking down, Reno. Here's Reno. So just south of that, we've got 5 in this picture. We've got three over here at Truckee, California, 1.1, 1.4, and 1.1. We've got a 0.3 near Carson City, and a 1.3 just northwest of Pyramid Lake. Here on the San Andreas Fault Line in California, we've got 5. The largest was up here, 3.0, near Dublin. That's in the San Francisco area. The geysers had 19. Now that's a low number. Northern California had 2, a 1.1 at Willits and a 2.5 just 6 kilometers northwest of Chico. Right there. That came in this morning at 5:27 a.m. Pacific Northwest over to Yellowstone. Look, there's nothing except here at Stanley, Idaho, and we're seeing 8 here, and the largest one was a 4.0, and we've had some larger earthquakes in the U.S. the last couple of days. We've had some 4s, a string of 4s, and here's the close-up at Stanley. A 4.0 at Stanley came in last night at 9:18 p.m. Here's a 4.1 in Oklahoma, and we've got 5 earthquakes in Oklahoma, and the largest was this 4.1 near Nescatunga in northern Oklahoma. Here, 1.9 at Ridgely, Tennessee. That's in the New Madrid zone. We've got one off the east coast of Long Island, a 2.6. We normally don't see them here. They're saying it's 43 kilometers southeast of New Shoreham, Rhode Island. This came in today, right after midnight, Pacific time, so it would have been 3:21 in the morning. Right there. 2.6. Puerto Rico over to Dominican Republic is showing 10. They had a 4.1 on land near Salve Leon de Higüey, Dominican Republic. South America showing 4. One of them is this 4.7 just south of Panama. We got a 4.6 at Guadalquivir, Ecuador. 4.7 Wambo, Peru, and a 4.8 near Coquimbo, Chile. Then in the South Atlantic, we've got a 4.8 South Sandwich Islands. This has been rocking for a month now. It's still going. Hawaii showing 20 today, and nothing at Kilauea. We've got 1 on the flank of Mauna Loa, and the rest are down here in the Pahala region. Alaska's showing 51 today. New Zealand, and they had one at Christchurch a couple of days ago too, or 3 something. You've got 3 here in New Zealand. 4.8 at Gisborne, and a 4.3 at Gisborne, well, off the coast, both of those, and then a 4.5 at Westport, New Zealand. It's on the southern island. And then just north of there, we've got 3 in this picture. 5.2 at Tonga, 5.1 Vanuatu, and a 4.4 at Gorontalo, Indonesia. We've got 2 in this picture, 4.3 at Yilan, Taiwan, and a 5.2 on land near Hotaka, Japan, right on the red line. And then we've got 3 in this picture, 4.3 Iran near Yasuj, 4.6 Hajiliang, India, and a 5.1 at Fek, India. That's all of those. And here we are on the website. Oh, that we saw that. And if we turn on all magnitudes for the last 7 days, here's what we've had this week. We've had a couple up by Svalbard. We had one just south of Greenland and Iceland. Here's one in the middle of the Atlantic. Now the Canary Islands are up here, so this was further down. This was a 5.2 at Ascension Island. See all this movement in the South Shetland Islands. We had a 5.0 Kuril Islands. Here's Japan, all the activity there. See all around the lines. It's how many? 237 worldwide. And we had a 4.3 in the LA area yesterday. Right there, near Carson, California. A couple of days ago, that came in on the 17th at 7:58 p.m. So everything is fluid. Look at the movement picking up. it's just, we're in the end times. What can I say? See, all along this Cascadia. Yellowstone swarmed again this week. Over here, they had 45 here within a couple of days. They were small, but still a lot of swarming. 4.0 in Texas, Toya. So, just, that's what we've got. Now, I like to bring things back to a spiritual perspective by reading out of the Bible. We're starting in 2 Peter tonight. And Peter was one of the disciples. 2 Peter chapter 1. The second epistle general of Peter. Simon Peter, a servant and an apostle of Jesus Christ, to them that have obtained like precious faith with us through the righteousness of God and our Savior Jesus Christ, grace and peace be multiplied unto you through the knowledge of God and of Jesus our Lord, according as his divine power hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that hath called us to glory and virtue, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. And beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. But he that liketh these things is blind, and cannot see afar off, and hath forgotten that he was purged from his old sins. Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if ye do these things, ye shall never fall. For so an entrance shall be ministered unto you abundantly into the everlasting kingdom of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Wherefore I will not be negligent to put you always in remembrance of these things, though ye know them, and be established in the present truth. Yea, I think it meet, as long as I am in this tabernacle, to stir you up by putting you in remembrance, knowing that shortly I must put off this my tabernacle, even as our Lord Jesus Christ hath shewed me. Moreover, I will endeavor that ye may be able after my decease to have these things always in remembrance, for we have not followed cunningly devised fables, when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty. For he received from God the Father honor and glory, when there came such a voice to him from the excellent glory, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And this voice which came from heaven we heard, when we were with him in the holy mount. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn, and the day star arise in your hearts, knowing this first, that no prophecy of the Scripture is of any private interpretation. For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of God spake as they were moved by the Holy Ghost. 2 Peter chapter 1. So we really need to keep our eyes on heaven and keep focused on these goodnesses that Peter outlined, that we need to keep in our heart and portraying in our actions, in our thoughts, in our words, and our deeds, and so that we can be more like Jesus, so that we can be found worthy to be in the kingdom of heaven when it comes time. Time is very short, so I'm praying for all of you, and hope you have a good week, and I love you all. And until next time, God bless you, go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.